Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to
the interest in journalism, particularly broadcasting. What prompted it?
Well, I think it's something I grew into. You are now an author times two or times three. So we are even though I'm older than you in the business, I'm trying to copy you to also write a book. So there's a book I'm writing. Actually, I had hoped to present it at my 60th, but it's not possible.
Wow.
So I'll be looking for another opportunity to present it. And I call that book The Practical Journalists, the little things that matter in broadcast journalism. In that book, I try to tell a little story of how this all began. As a little boy, my father would every Sunday or Saturday, my father was a weekend newspaper reader. So on Saturdays, and I was about six, you won't believe it, 6, 7. My father would send me out to go and buy the newspapers from the, just a little distance from the house, So he would say, buy Renaissance, buy Daily Times, and maybe those papers of those days. And then I would buy the papers. But I discovered that I would not start coming home as soon as I bought my father's 3 papers or thereabout. I would stay there and read and try to read what were in the other papers. I don't know what what made me do that. Then I will come home and I'll give my daddy his papers and say, Daddy, there's something they wrote in the other paper that you did not tell me to buy, Sometimes it made my daddy send me back to the place to say, okay, go and get that one. Let me even see what was there. And then I also discovered that after my father and his free reading friends had finished the papers and they left them, I would still go back to those papers and be looking at them, And that was my first coming near anything about media. And then I also discovered that as a little boy growing up in the early 70s, I was so interested in listening to the news at 7 o'clock. I don't know what I was listening to, but actually now I know that what I was actually enjoying were the commercials that came before the news. The Joy advert jingles, the Omo jingles, the Inku Cream, Ovaltine, Bonvita. They were so rhythmic, they were so exciting. So I would, as we were going to go to school, those adverts would come before the main network news at 7. So I was interested in that. And until 1976, yes, about 76, the morning the Dinka coup happened, I discovered that for one reason or the other, my jingles were not coming on. And they were playing the kind of music I didn't quite understand. So I went to my father and said, Daddy, what's the problem? They're not playing all the Inco Cream and Bonvita and all that. What's going on? And I had seen him and his friends, moving around, talking in low tones. And I said, Daddy, what is the problem? Like that young boy, that little boy I was. He said, go away, there's a coup. I said, coup, what is coup? So he drove me away, but much later he tried to tell me that there was a new government and all that. And then I carried the news to school. When I got to school, I called my friends and told them there was a coup. But then, of course, we followed somehow I became the one that was briefing my fellow pupils about what was happening and then how they had declared the Dinka wanted, and then how Dinka had his bold tribal marks on his face, and then of course we added the other ones that Dinka was disappearing. If they wanted to catch him, he would just disappear, and the soldiers could not find him and all that. So that was how we started. Then we went to secondary school. I became the school DJ. I became very prominent in the debating society. I became MC at a lot of events. And I remember that the day we were leaving school, and they were asking us, what are you going to do? I said, look, I want to be a radio presenter, And I think what had driven me was that somehow from a very little age, I felt that someone needed to bring the news and give it, to other people. I didn't know what the name was. Actually, another thing that also happened was that I won the essay competition in our senatorial zone so many years back. And then when our school headmaster was, describing me and telling the students, he said, well, if you continue like this, you're going to be a journalist. And I'm like, what is journalist? But of course, one of the prizes they gave me was the Advanced Learners Dictionary.